This is Morning Express, and glad that you're here with us this morning. And well, being a Tuesday, we're going to be having our business chat. Joining me is Stanley Ngugi, who is the General Manager and Training Programs at Centonomy and is a personal financial consultant. And thank you for joining us. A huge and a mouthful there of a title. Which we have. And Stanley, thank you for joining us this morning. And it is great to have you here. And well, we'll start off. First of all, last week we had a business owner who we spoke to, and we were looking at several angles. But yesterday we went out to look at some of the businesses and how people run businesses. And we met one butcher who sells pork and chicken. That's mainly what he sells at City Market. And Director, do we have that footage? I think he has mentioned that we have it, although I had yes, we met this butcher, and he mainly sells pork and chicken. And as a result, I just asked him, a few questions, how much he makes in a day. He wasn't too clear about it. I asked him whether he has, high and low seasons. And for him, he was very clear. He said that between Monday and Wednesday, it is kind of quiet. Towards the weekend, it gets busy. And of course, how he can change that business and have it at a better plane. Let's start off first of all with a business that you run like that. What I noticed is that he's in an environment where there are very many other people doing the same business. How does one manage to get his business in an environment like that to still make money?
Well, I think that first of all, he is already in a good industry. The meat vendors at City Market are very popular. And then again, we eat a lot of food. So that means that he has a lot of people coming in. I think his biggest challenge is the competition. And the trick here is to make sure that you're standing out. Okay? When you're in a line of many people selling the same thing, you have to find a way to stand out. And one of the key pieces of advice we can give here is that the trick is customer service or customer relations, because it's very difficult to get a new customer, but someone who has already been buying from you and has had a good experience tends to come back more, again and again. Actually, it is said that in business, the best customer is the one that you treating the people extra special than no one else is treating them. Maybe even perhaps consider having a business card. I know it's just a stall for nyama, but have a business card and tell them, by the next time you're coming, I can make sure you call me in advance. I'll receive you at the gate. And that gives people a good sense that they're not just getting good meat, they're also getting good service. And then they keep coming, and people actually tend to even look for you. And we've seen this example many times. There's always that special stall that you go to, and you'll pass all the others and you'll go to that special one because they remember you, they remember your name, they know how to, for example, if it's kinyozi, he already knows how to cut your hair just the way you like it. So for him, it's not about maybe getting extra special meat because maybe they are sourcing from the same place. Right. Customer service is key.
That would be a huge thing to leverage on customer service. And apart from now, just how does one actualize that customer service? Because I mean, here is somebody who comes in, and apart from smiling at them and possibly treating them well, what else can they do to?
I mean, I already mentioned the business card. That kind of gives people a sense of this person is serious, is a professional. Of course, in the food industry, cleanliness is key. I mentioned that it would also be nice that you can give them a number, they can call you in advance. If it's in the nyama industry, that there are some butcheries that cut the meat for you, others don't. And for me, I'll prefer to go to the one that cuts for me. It's just those little extra. Just consider, what is it that can make me go to the extra mile for this person? And one of the best things that we teach at Centonomy is that you should always ask your client how they can be served better. People will actually have an answer. And this is a challenge to all entrepreneurs who are out there. Ask your client, how can we serve you better? And they'll even tell you, by the way, if you did this, this, and this, and this, I'll actually be very happy and I'll keep coming.
And I guess the key after that would be make sure that you actualize it. Of course. Then you just leave it there.
Of course.
Now, let's look at financial intelligence in terms of income and expenditure. Yes. One of the questions I asked this butcher is, how much do you make in a day? And he wasn't quite clear. How does one run a business yet you don't quite know how much you make in a day? Is that a problem?
Well, I mean, I think this is not only just a Kenyan problem, it's a global problem. As small entrepreneurs, I think we are not taking very good care of the accounting. One of my close entrepreneur friends told me that we always think of accountants when things are going bad.
Right.
Well, in reality, the accountant is probably the first people you should consider hiring, because, and this is a lesson from management, what you measure is what gets managed. That means that you must be measuring every single aspect of your business, but more importantly, the money must be measured. You must know how much you're bringing in and how much is going out, because that's the only way you'll grow. So for the butcher who's saying Monday to Thursday is slow, he should understand, what does slow mean? Does that mean that Monday I have 5 customers less and Friday I have 10 customers more? Because it'll give him the clue as to what can I do to make sure that on Monday my customers go up. Or if it is the finances, how do I manage myself such that even if we have a few customers on Monday, I'll still survive and I'll still grow this business. The other thing I'd like to mention is that as entrepreneurs, we are tending to not separate the business money and our money.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it means that we should start considering paying ourselves a salary.
Let's talk about that, paying yourself a salary, yes. Because I find many friends who I have who are in business, you're like you've said, there's no separate account from the business money and what you have. So if I need to eat at the end of the day, I'll just speak from the till. Yes. If I need to buy a shoe, maybe I'll get 2,000 at the end of the week when there is a little bit more. How do I go into paying myself? Am I actually giving myself a salary?
Absolutely, and this is one of the Centonomy Entrepreneur Program's core lessons. Pay yourself a salary, like the way you would have an intern or an employee and every month you give them a salary. This is so important because you have to understand, as an entrepreneur, that money is not yours. That money belongs to the business, and therefore the business pays you for the services of running it and owning it. For example, let's look at these major companies, perhaps the listed companies. Those guys, they actually declare profits at the end of the year, okay, or periodically. And that's when the owner, that's the shareholder, that's when the shareholder gets paid. So the shareholder doesn't go to the company where they own shares on the weekend and they ask for some money. They wait up to a certain period of time. The people who run the company, they are paid many years, and that's challenging, but it's worth doing. So this is not to scare people. This is to prepare them, because that's what we aim to do at Centonomy, to tell you the truth of what entrepreneurship is like, so that you can prepare for it, not so that you can run away from it.
Okay,
yes. Let's
go back to the butcher.
Yes.
And one of the other things that I realized as I was talking to him is that there's no strategy of growing the business.
Yes.
So from January to December, you're more or less waiting on God's mercy, if I can put it that way. What's the importance of having a strategy for growing a business?
Yes. Perhaps even before we talk about strategy, I think vision is key. And when I say vision here, I mean that person who is working as a butcher should look into the future and imagine where they want to go. Okay? So that now the strategy just becomes like what you'd call a roadmap to that vision. Okay? And it's very important that you have that long-term vision and say, in 1 year, this is what I want my butchery to be. And that will allow him to say, if I want my butchery to be, for example, I want to have 2 or 3 branches, then they start thinking differently from a person who is operating
from just
day to day. Even that thing of the salary, even that thing of keeping accounts, it all comes from the vision, because you have something that you're working towards. Okay, so in terms of strategy, I would tell people, you don't have to see all the way to the end. All you have to do is see the next step. Martin Luther King is the one who said that you should always keep moving forward, because in truth, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. There's nothing that is that is stagnant in this world.
But now, practically, this butcher, how can he grow his client base?
Okay.
We've talked about the business cards, which of course will be distributed.
Yes.
But is there an intentional, deliberate way that he can engage to ensure that instead of serving 5 per day, I can serve 10, and in another year, maybe 15?
Yes. So we've spoken about customer relations, which is critical for any business. So that butcher should really start engaging with the customers in a different way, because you want them to bring you even more customers, okay? The other thing that the butcher should do is keep their accounts, okay? And that means that, for example, he should understand, I am making 1,000 in a day, and of that 1,000, 800 is for the meat and 200 is profit. And even from that 200, that butcher should go further and say, I'm going to throw back 100 shillings into the business, and I'm only going to take 100 shillings as my salary. And that allows the business to grow, because tomorrow, you see, he will not be starting at 800. He'll be starting at 900, and then it grows and it grows pole 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 pole. These are some of the things that the butcher can do. The other thing is to start looking at you know, it's important to expand, because as we said, we keep moving forward. Even if he doesn't have the money or to expand at the moment, it's important for him to start going to other stalls and start looking at other places and say, if I were to start a business here, how much would it be? How much would it, you know, what do I need to do to start a business here? Even if you don't have the money, because it starts putting something in your mind that is saying, I need to keep a certain profit aside towards growth. Because if he remains at that one butchery and is not kind of just exploring, then you know, there's a challenge of being stuck there for a long time. You get comfortable. This is what I know. I'm satisfied with my 5 clients. The final point I'd like to say is about that comfort zone. Many people assume that comfort zone is mainly for employees, but I think also entrepreneurs do get into a comfort zone where my business is doing well, it's paying the rent, it's fueling the car, etc. I'm satisfied with it. An entrepreneur, you can never be satisfied. Let that dissatisfaction move you forward, because that's how you're going to grow. Your growth cannot be found in the comfort zone. Even a business comfort zone exists.
Finally, as we wind up, the one thing you'll realize with business is it also oscillates, even in terms of income. How important is it for you to save, not for yourself, but for the business? You know, the business is actually making a saving in case there are days where you don't even have money for rent.
Absolutely. And we spoke about this, I think, at length. Number one is to have an account
that is separate,
you know, for the business, and you have your own account, and that means that a significant part of the portion of the profit that you're making, as much as possible, should be plowed back in for business growth. Because you're so right to say, Michael, that businesses always go up and down. The butcher said that Monday to Thursday is a bit slow, and that means that from Friday to Sunday, he should be very careful that he's not eating all that money, because that's the money that will grow the business on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it all starts with a separation of the funds, and then plowing back profits. This is what is called reinvesting or compounding. You compound, you get profits, and then you grow the profits on top of profits. And that's how a butcher can move from 1 stall to 5 stalls at City Market. Yes.
Okay. And finally, is a side hustle always a good idea?
You know, as I mentioned to you earlier, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and you know, we have this misconception that everyone should have a business. As I mentioned to you earlier, even your employment is one of the key ways that you can make money. So if you feel that employment is what calls you, okay, because it's employment and entrepreneurship are both callings. If it's employment that's calling you, it can be dangerous for you to put that at risk for maybe a side hustle that is interfering with what you're really good at. Okay, so that's what I'd say about that. Be careful that if you are not called to entrepreneurship, it doesn't start interfering with perhaps your career growth, which can be a very good source of income as well. All right, yes. I think we'll wind it up right there. Stanley Ngugi, thank you very much. My pleasure, Stanley Ngugi from Centonomy, and I'm sure that information helps you, especially if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, or maybe you're already an entrepreneur and there's some mistakes that you're making in that line. Next week, we'll also look at a different kind of business and maybe how you can leverage
possibly say on social media to even just grow your business, because there are quite a number of things that you can do to do that. So we're going to take a short break. Morning Express will be right back. Today, remember, we've got Person of Interest, and this morning we're having a sober morning with John Mutudho. If you have any questions, feel free to send them through. You can tweet them through, and the Twitter handle is at KTN News, or you can tweet me directly, and that's at Michael G. Gitonga. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.